again, thanks for coming. I want to just introduce the partners in the Children First initiative. There are 5 founding partners of Children First, representing the schools, the faith community, the city, healthcare in our community, and the business community. Representatives on the executive board of Children First representing those 5 partners are, first of all, Rabbi Joshua Bornstein, who's representing not only the health community, or the faith community, but schools as well. Joshua, are you here in the back? Okay. We also have Deborah Bowers, Superintendent of Schools, on the executive committee. In addition, Bob Tift with Benilde St. Margaret's, who was not able to be here tonight, is on this executive committee as well. From the city, we have myself, of course. We have Bridget Gothberg, John Luce, Chief John Luce. John, in the back. From healthcare, we have Mick Johnson with Park Nicollet Health Services and the Park Nicollet Foundation. And then representing the business community is Monica Murphy here. I know Monica's with Japs Olson. Also, Brad Bakken with Citizens Bank represents the business community on the Children First. There we go. Thank you for coming. And then our partner in Children First is the Search Institute, Nancy Tellett Royce over there, our wonderful partner in terms of the 40 assets that Children First is based on. Well, the purpose of tonight's meeting is to hopefully grow inside you an understanding of the Asset Champions Network that we're trying to build and how it's related to Children First. We also hope that this provides an opportunity for people across all walks of St. Louis Park can connect with one another and get to know one another a little better. Because of those connections, really wonderful things can happen. And then lastly, we want to talk to you about next steps in becoming asset champions here in St. Louis Park. Before I get to that, I just wanted to point out a couple of things. You'll see our new logo and tagline, Children First. It starts with you, the St. Louis Park community, bringing out the best in kids. Niemer Fieger, a local public relations firm, advertising firm, helped us create that. The other exciting thing I wanted to mention to you is that for the second time in a row, both in 2005 and now in 2007, St. Louis Park has been designated as one of the 100 best communities for young people in the United States. And you all played an important role in that, so I think it would be a great idea if we just gave ourselves a round of applause for that. I think before we go much further, we'd just like to take a few minutes for everybody to introduce each other again, make sure everybody knows who's at their table. Again, connections is very important. We'll just take a few minutes to do that, and then we'll come back and we'll continue the rest of the program. So just a few minutes to get to know each other. Thank you. All right. Everybody get to share their thoughts? We really appreciate that. It's very helpful. Before we continue our program, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Children First, make sure everybody has a good understanding, or at least you can compare your understandings of Children First with what I'm about to tell you. In your packet, on your table is this page. On the top it says Children First, and what that really does is explain the history of Children First, what Children First is all about. And in a nutshell, Children First represents a concerted effort to engage the community in building attributes in our kids, to build assets in our youth here in St. Louis Park. It's a philosophy, it's not a program. We have plenty of programs out there who engage themselves in building assets, so we don't want to duplicate it, but we certainly want to encourage asset building. And it's supported by the community partnership that I mentioned earlier. The city, the schools, the faith community, the business community, and the healthcare community. How could I forget them? With assistance from Search. To talk a little bit more about Children First and asset building, we have some special guests this evening who, in this very carefully orchestrated event, will be entering in a moment. We have exclusively Asset Champion Man and his trainee.
I'm supposed to pick this up. Seems that Asset Champions Man's son put all the weights on it. It may not be as easy to pick up as he thought. Yeah. This is good. For a change, Asset Man's boy filled up weights with air rather than concrete. God bless my boy. Good kid. There you go. There you have it. Ah, yes. You know, you people can't live in a town.
Thanks for not wearing tights.
Thank you, yes. You have no idea. There was some discussion about putting Asset Man in tights, but Asset Man figured, no, that would make him look like an enormous wood tick. We went with the snow paint. Well, it woulda, you know. All right, my young trainee.
Wow,
Mike.
Asset Champion, you are so powerful. I am motivated to achieve and become an Asset Champion too. Do Asset Champions need special powers to help people get assets?
Why, no. Anyone can be an Asset Champion. In fact, we need Asset Champions everywhere. And the more you practice asset building, the easier it gets.
But don't you need to have some kind of special knowledge or something to be an Asset Champion?
Yes, like where the second microphone is, yes. They said add lip a little. Okay. First and foremost, good instead of evil. You should talk among your group about what you already do. All of us are building assets in young people. We may just not call it that, but be intentional about what you do. Start using asset lingo among your group. Then add simple things that fit into the mission of your group or tweak things that make them more youth-friendly. As you make decisions, keep the welfare of your young people in mind. You don't need to add big, expensive new programs to be effective asset builders.
But this must take a ton of time.
It really doesn't. It's a way of thinking, and including that thinking into everything you do.
Okay, so Asset Champion, what are your worst enemies?
Ah, very insightful question, Grasshopper. See, I knew somebody would get that that's over 40. The 4 worst enemies are apathy, procrastination, fear, and thinking that someone else will do it.
Oh, so what trumps it all?
True good. Putting asset building ideas into action.
You must need to be really old then and have a lot of wisdom.
You want to run that by me again, Asset Man's hearing isn't very good. No, here you have it. That's also where you are wrong, my young friend. We need asset champions of all ages. Young people have practical expertise that some of my more experienced folks may lack. Why, just last week I remember working on asset number 25, reading for pleasure. My son was reading with his younger brother. My Rotary Club listens to children read at Aquila School. And then there's Bookmark in the Park, where everybody in the community is encouraged to read the same book.
Yeah, and I've been in a mother-daughter book club that meets once a month since 4th grade. And in school, we used to do super silent reading. And my friends and I like to exchange books during a gift exchange.
There, you have the idea. My favorite asset is number 7, Community Values Youth. Why, St. Louis Park was recognized just this very week for being named again one of the 100 best communities for young people in the entire country. So I think it's due to many efforts. Day 1, back to school celebration, the creation of the new rec center, which is built on Children First principles, and many, many other things. Even greeting young people, making eye contact with them and smiling at them when you see them for the first time. Imagine how this will change with all these people focusing on asset building in our community. Why, even, it says to say this, it says even the mayor would think it was a good idea.
Wow, you have a lot of enthusiasm for this. How do you recharge your asset building powers?
You need vitamin A-B, asset building. You can get that through training that will be held several times during the month of March. Then, quarterly asset champion gatherings. There's nothing like seeing asset builders face to face and hearing about their superpowers. There's also the virtual community that's been created just for asset builders like you. We will meet in cyberspace and share our best practices and look for insights from others. Lastly, I have to tell you, this is addictive. How come you don't have to look through the little holes? Oh, I get that. Okay, there you go. Asset Champion Man would like to thank Karen for putting this in a little bigger type, by the way. Very thoughtful of you. Thank you. Once you intentionally build assets in young people, you will be always constantly looking for more and better ways to do it. Now, you are an asset champion. You can. Oh, you don't have your shirt. Okay, well, there you go.
All the people in this crowd, they can help too, right? Because it's easy as ABC, asset building champion.
That is right. So, my trip over cord here. It is to asset building and beyond. Why, thank you.
Well, thank you.
I hope I have easier time taking cape off than putting cape on.
Well, thank you, Erica, who is a junior at St. Louis Park, and Mayor Jeff Jacobs for being our special guest. Okay, now if you turn to your packet to the role of an asset champion, we can go over that quickly. Okay, so as an asset champion, you are to represent an organization in St. Louis Park as an employee or a volunteer. You receive training on developmental assets, and in turn, you will train others in your organization. So your organization can decide to do things independently or with other asset champion organizations. So pretty much just being an asset champion is using the assets to help create healthy individuals and support our kids. And so, yeah. I don't know, is there any questions about asset champions at this time? Okay. So if you guys could switch tables again, switch it up, switch the energy up a little. And then, yeah. And then reintroduce yourself to new people at your table. So after you introduce yourselves to your new table mates, could you please look at, I believe it's the blue sheet on your table, and envision what you could do this week to help build assets personally and in your organization, and discuss it and have a recorder. Okay, thanks. Hello, may I have your attention, please? All right, thanks. Would anyone like to share their brainstorms for envisioning asset building?
I was with a great group of people back in anchoring that corner of the room, and we started out with some ideas about reading, because we know that the asset about reading for pleasure is one that it's important for kids, and a lot of us had a soft spot in our heart for that. So we have a daycare provider who's thinking about doing a book fair or a book trading program with the kids that are in her program. And it turned out we had somebody who was working on Bookmark in the Park, who is starting to get planning for next year. So if any of you are interested in hooking up with the Bookmark in the Park program, we can help you do that. See that hand waving over there? We also talked about ways that we could connect our schools with programs that we know are good for kids. One of them, what was mentioned, was 4-H, which really embodies a lot of the principles of asset building. Another one that came up was junior achievement, and so we started making connections at our table between people who are knowledgeable about both of those. And then we also talked a little bit about Aldersgate, which had picked up on the city's visioning process and is doing a visioning process in their congregation about what kind of a congregation they want to be for young people of various ages. And that's still in process, but I imagine that as we come back to these meetings, we'll hear more about how that's all going.
Anyone else? Would anyone else like to share? Come on. Okay, yay.
I was at the table there in the back, and we had quite a few ideas. One was promoting further education. The Park and Rec Department is actually working on a job training class. It was developed actually by 2 high school students. So it's going to help high school kids with their resumes and interview training, so that's a really good thing. For kids, just to be a positive peer influence for other kids in the school. Other after-school programs, incorporating positive values into the classroom. Neighborhood parties to get more people involved. Reading Buddies program, tutor a kid, get involved with elementary kids, just be a positive role model, coach a sport or get involved in sports, any sort of adult involvement with kids, and visit with students. And another idea was to have students job shadow you. So that was kind of the list of a lot of things that our table came up with.
Gosh, you didn't even have to ask. Well, I was sitting at a wonderful table with great thinkers and great doers. One thing that was brought up is that we all need to think about whenever we're with kids, whether we're working with them or being in church with them or hanging out with them, is that we need to be aware of how we speak to them, and that we constantly want to sort of hear what we're saying and have that be a positive asset building